What's good, What's good, y'all? This is Robert Jackson. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. And yeah, hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. And yeah, we're into as we are back into the work week. We're gonna be just, just chill and just have a good time and relax. And yeah, what better way to start off this week than talking with somebody who you've seen on stage, Broadway. Their resume body of work is just insane. So, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce my late for today's special guest. We have Miss Christiane Noll. I hope I'm it's kind of a
You
game with
are.
me.
You
I'm
said that really well. Thank you, Robert. Absolutely. That was
okay,
awesome. Thank you.
great. I have a tendency to mispronounce names sometimes, so bear with me.
I'm sure you can only imagine the butchering that my first name gets. So you did that was beautiful. That was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You too. So yeah, I guess with all of that out of the way, so yeah, you can just share with the audience just your brief little bio, what you do, and yeah, so we can get to know more about you, if you please.
Uh, let's see. Well, I have been I was I've been doing stage. I've been performing since I was 4 years old. My parents were my father was a conductor and my mother was an opera singer. So they met doing operas and operettas, and they would throw me into the show when I was really little, or they would give me jobs backstage, or I would be running around in the pits. So I've been in the theater since I was a child, but I do have done theater work and Broadway work. I was just in Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway for the past year, leading from before the pandemic to after it. I was in Los Angeles when the tour came through in Los Angeles. I did it there um, a couple of years ago now. And I've done um, I guess 7 Broadway shows, and I've done some TV stuff. I managed to voice the animated version of The King and I have done some symphony concerts, so in lots of different ways. I've sung cabaret, recorded 5 CDs. So I sing and I act and I do a little bit of everything. And I've been just really fortunate to be able to keep working in this business for many decades now, which is awesome.
Nice. We have a lot to discuss for today. So let's get right into the first question here. So yeah, growing up, because you said that you've been doing this since you were 4 years old. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your childhood, being raised in the Big Apple, so to speak.
Yeah, well, we lived on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, Peter Cooper Village, which is 23rd Street and the East River. And we were there until it was time for me to go to school. Wanted to send me to public school instead of private school, so we immigrated to New Jersey, just across the George Washington Bridge, and was in a little, they call it a little bedroom community over there, because my father was still, he was a conductor, but he was also manager of the CBS Music Library, which used to be a thing when stuff wasn't just available to stream and have everything, on digital libraries. People would actually go in and get recordings and reel-to-reel tapes and discs, and when the first time we had LPs everywhere, or sound effects stuff, like that was what he would do. So I we were right in New York all the time. They would take me to shows all the time. Broadway was, and just other theater experiences in the city were places I wasn't allowed to go backstage, because if we were going to see the show, so that would always be sort of annoying. But I was really lucky to have New York sort of be my backyard, and not know all of the things that I was getting, which I just sort of unfortunately took it for granted. But some people, that you grow up in Ohio or Nebraska or something, and you dream of going to New York, and New York was just always there. So I realized all the things that were available to me and was able to do it.
Yeah. So, since you went to school and everything, how would you say that going to, all these classes and learning, it also really helped you develop your skills as a performer and as a
Well,
singer along the way? Yeah.
it's I mean, studying is has been really, really important. But also making the most of whatever opportunity was in front of me was also really important. Not waiting to be handed anything. I Because my parents were both in the business, I actually was uh, sort of the antithesis of a lot of people I think in this business when they're like, I grew up and I saw it on the Tonys and I always wanted to go. And because I saw the ins and outs of what being a professional actor meant, and not necessarily, people who were superstars and, big movie stars and stuff like that. These were working performers and working artists. I didn't want to do that. So when I got to elementary school and middle school and high school, I had some teachers who noticed that I had talents and gifts. And so they encouraged me to explore that. And I think when you talk about taking class, having teachers and having people who believe in what you do, it's really important. And it's not just a matter of like yes men, but people that actually see something in you and encourage you to go for it and explore that. And I don't know that I would have decided to do this as a career unless I had had that encouragement um, within the teachers that I encountered in school, which I was really fortunate to do. Um, I ended up going to Carnegie Mellon University, but I was in the music department there. So I was singing, and I took some classes in the in the acting department as well, but I wasn't in the drama department per se. But it was a matter of, like I said, bloom where you're planted and learn what you need to learn. And even when I moved to the city, I had just graduated, but I set up my life once I moved back home. I was fortunate to not have to, get 18 roommates and a waitressing job, to live in New York City because my parents lived so close. So for the first year or so, I lived in my parents' basement, and I would go into the city every day and I would take dance classes, and I found acting classes, and I found a voice teacher, and I set up all the same stuff that I had done when I was in college in New York. And some people just come to New York and just do that immediately. They don't bother with going to college. They just jump right in. But I knew I wanted to go out and learn things and meet new people and learn different kinds of stuff and spend time not doing what I was going to be doing for, the rest of my life, which I think is really important. Reading and living and experiencing people who think differently from you. That's really important. And whenever we're, trying to attack our art, as it were.
So with all of that in mind, that was sort of how you started becoming fascinated and just enthralled with performing, just with acting and doing the stuff. Like you carry like so many different like bags under your like so many tricks under your sleeve because as performers and as actors we carry like you do the singing and dancing and you perform and whatnot, so that was kind of what's how you started becoming interested in getting into the showbiz and whatnot.
It's interesting. What you're saying is making me think of. Yes, I could sing. I learned pretty quickly that when I sang, people were moved by it. I learned how to dance, sort of. I'm not a great dancer, but I can pretend and I look like I can dance. So I act like I can dance, and so that has served me well. Um, and what but I did when I was coming up, because for a lot of different reasons, I always thought of myself as a musician first, and um and only in the last, I mean, really recently was I able to because when I did Dear Evan Hansen, um, I said it's a musical, and I played Connor Murphy's mother, she sings a little, but not really. She doesn't really sing. She's definitely more of the actor in the piece, um, and that was weird for me to be a part of a show where I'm not singing. There's like that, like just what you're saying. Oh, this is bringing me to this business. I can sing, I enjoy performing. And here I was, acting. I was the actor, and I was crying all the time. And that was kind of wild for me to really own the part of myself that moves people. That there's a reason that people are moved by my voice. It's not just because I make pretty sounds, but it's because I'm a good actor. And to actually own that it's okay, you can go and work on something and not always have to put your voice forward. That was really a new thing for me to embrace. And so I'm really glad that I finally was able to do that, because I can really be a more complete performer, I think, that way, because then you're not holding on to, oh, this is what I do, or this, I don't do that without this. You just kind of like dive in, and you are who you are, and you do what you do, and enjoy it. And I've been fortunate that way.
So what were some of your earliest the like on stage theater? What were some of your earliest like acting, singing? What were some of your first jobs that you've done in your career?
Let's see. I have a list that I actually made, which is so funny. There it is. Um, when I was lucky enough while I was in Pittsburgh to be a part of the performing ensemble at Pittsburgh Civic Light Opera, their summer theater there in Pittsburgh. And I got hired 2 years in a row, and we did like 4 shows in the course of a summer. And you'd be rehearsing one in the afternoon and performing the other in the evening. And one of the seasons we did Cinderella, 42nd Street, Sweeney Todd, and The Student Prince all in the same, which, so I had to tap dance and sing, Sweetie, well, that's ridiculous stuff for Sweeney Todd. Yeah, it's nuts. Um, but my first the first national tour that I ever did was City of Angels. My first principal show was Nancy and Oliver at the Carousel Dinner Theater in Akron, Ohio. That was right out of college. I did a bunch of different productions of South Pacific. One that I went to Thailand, which was insane. It was an Australian production company that went to Thailand. I did the first national tour of the first company of the original company of Miss Saigon, and I played Ellen in that. My Broadway debut was in Jekyll and Hyde. And I got to do a few versions of that leading up to when we brought it to Broadway in 1997. I did Grease, the one that I call it the Pepto Bismol one, the Rosie O'Donnell version. So there've been a bunch of revivals of Grease. I've done King and I a bunch, but those were the leading up to my Broadway debut in '97. Those were the things that I did.
Yeah. So how would you say that the industry, because you've been working since you were 4 years old, so how would you say that it has changed, that it had evolved over the years that you've been in the business, particularly
Well,
during these last 2-ish years?
oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, certainly this that we are, talking through the computer, and we are creating a world in these little boxes. I mean, there's always, my way of self-promoting was, when I first came to the city, was having a Walkman in my bag that had an accompaniment tape. So all of the songs that I sang for auditions were on this tape, And at any moment, I could take out the Walkman, push play, and sing. And if someone's like, "Oh, well, we just need to hear you sing," I would have that. I could audition no matter what. I was just always ready for whatever opportunity. It was a little bit ridiculous. Now, people, when say like, write, do your own thing, with Instagram and TikTok and any number of opportunities on social media, like you're doing your own podcast, people can put their art out there. They don't have to wait to be invited. You can put it on YouTube, you can put it anywhere. You can write your own songs, film your own videos, create your own skits. You do all your own everything, and people are monetizing it and getting bigger deals as a result of it. And it's incredible. That was not even an inkling of a notion. We didn't even have cell phones when I first came to the city. So the fact, or personal computers for that matter, I just started having like a PC, or an iMac or whatever the heck it was when I was at college, but like laptops, and that's how old I am. I'm so old. It's amazing. But the business has changed in, like that way. There's so many opportunities for people to make their own way and do their own thing. And I think it's amazing.
Yeah. And how is the pandemic? Because I know we've been into this for like 2 years. So how would you say that it really changed like your work ethic? Because I know it's different for everyone, but would you say that how can I put this? Like it, because I know that you were already working, you were busy doing Broadway. So now that you've been getting adapted to this online stuff, do you feel like you've gotten busier and since the pandemic, or has it kind of slowed down for you in a way?
Oh, I at first, with people were so, when the shutdown happened, I had been doing Dear Evan Hansen for a year and 5 months at that point, which was a very long time, continuous amount of time to do that piece, because it's really emotionally draining. So by the time we shut down, I was kind of relieved because I could have a break. But then I noticed, immediately when we realized it wasn't going to be just a month or two, that it was long. Now all of a sudden people were panicked and looking for ways to perform. So we were recording things in the attic and in the basement, and making these compilation videos, that we saw that people started getting really, really good at. It was amazing, and folks are still doing them. And I did readings of plays online. um Everybody just trying to keep flexing their creative muscles as well as they can. But after a while, and I think it was more because I was fortunate enough to know that my show was going to reopen and that I had something to go back to. Eventually, I just I wasn't so hungry to constantly be doing all of that, because I didn't have I didn't invest in the amazing lighting system and get the great uh, microphone and create the whole home studio. That was a skill that I didn't really want to embrace as well as other people did. And I thought, let the other people that have really embraced the production element of all of this online business, let them run with it, because this is their time now. So let them run with it. And I've been thrilled now that we're opening back up again. And I, although I've left Dear Evan Hansen, there's other opportunities coming up, and theater things back in theater companies that I've worked for before. I'm going back to, and more concerts and more actual in-person performances. And I'm thrilled that that's still available and flourishing. Um, I'm happy for the break, and I'm happy for the rest, because it was a lot. And I think now, where the pandemic has really changed things, is that if you didn't know it before, you really know it now, that it can all be taken away from you in an instant. So any opportunity that we have to do anything creative is an amazing thing. It's you're lucky, you're blessed, no matter whatever your belief system is, it's a gift. And to really enjoy it when it happens, because it could be done and finished at any moment. And so just enjoy it when it's, be grateful when it happens.
Um, So you've done work in musicals and you've performed on concert numerous times. So let's talk about your roles of, because you were Emma Carew and Frank Wildhorn's Jekyll and Hyde, and you've also done shows like You're in Town, Ragtime, and like you mentioned, Dear Evan Hansen. So how is it like getting to work on so many different shows, many different tones, styles, and performances, and yeah, just describing the whole experience of getting to be a part of these amazing productions.
I've been spoiled and really fortunate. Have always, I've never wanted to just do one thing. And that's another
Yeah.
thing, that way that I think this business has changed, in that I, f- I used to want to be able to do everything and sing any kind of style and do comedy, do drama, sing soprano, belt, high, belt, just do all of it. And what I now, looking back, I realize that can be confusing. So more, what I encourage young performers is like, figure out what you do and do that. Don't worry about trying to do everything. If that brings you to other things, then great, then go to other things and enjoy it. But don't try to be everyone's answer to every problem they have. And I think I was just always like, I can do anything, ask me anything and I'll do it. And I you can see that from the things that you mentioned, they're varying and versatile, and there's a lot of different kinds of stuff that I've gotten to do. And I sing jazz and I've sung opera, and I was nominated for a Tony Award for Ragtime, and that was amazing. And I've had a lot of crazy different opportunities, and I wouldn't change a thing. But I've been spoiled. I've worked with a lot of incredible people, and a few times have had the opportunity to originate and work on new pieces that are still being written, and the work that I was doing from day to day in rehearsal would help inform what they were writing, and how that they were creating this piece. And that's just an amazing feeling, because I don't know how people write, like sit down and do you write it all? Do you create your own stuff?
Were you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you, because
Yeah, I'm sorry.
yeah, I said, do you write and create your own things? Because I can't imagine how people just like sit and write. My daughter loves to write, and that just, it's the idea of putting your writing out for other people to consume and judge is just, because as a performer, I take other people's words, I interpret them, but they're not my words. I have to make them sound like they're my words. So I was, do you write? Do you create your own stuff?
Course. I will say that it's not an entirely easy process, but whenever I'm in the zone and when I'm like in the right frame of mind and when ideas start rolling, then it's kind of like, yeah, it's
It's
just kind of,
magical.
yeah, it's just, yeah, it's just when the magic comes, when you sit there and you then, you know, there's all these different ideas that that's just when you sit down and really think, and then when you collaborate with other people, then man, you can just make like the you could just have like a just an incredible project. And when you work with other people and then toss around some ideas with them, then it's like, man, the whole collaboration project just makes the entire experience all the more better. It
I
really
completely
does.
agree with you, and that's what I have cherished so much about the shows that I've had the chance to be a part of, is the collaboration. It's, bringing what you do into the room and throwing it out into the room, and seeing, have someone hit the ball back to you and be like, "Oh, let's now, what are you giving to me? Oh, that's awesome." And just sort of collaborating and creating something that neither one of you could have imagined before, both of you were there, as it were. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah. So let's talk about the King and I, because um, so it turns out that you actually have a page on this website called, and it's a great website called behindthevoiceactors.com,
Oh, I
where
do?
you were,
Okay.
yes, yeah, apparently, yeah, it exists.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody just decided to dedicate a page where you like, because you were on The King and I and you were the singing voice of Anna, and that apparently you're a voice actress, I
So,
guess. So yeah,
well,
we could
for that, yeah, I got the opportunity to do that. Yeah.
yeah, so let's talk about it. So
Sure.
like how did the whole thing like when you got the call, or like how did it go, like when you first got involved with the animated film and the experience working on it, and just your favorite overall positive memories of you know um doing getting to be a part of such a wonderful opportunity, such as because I know that The King and I is also a very well-known play and book. And so an animated film like this one, it seems to be like, oh my gosh, this is really, really cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
your
It,
experience working on the movie.
it
Yeah,
was,
we'd
it
love to
was,
hear about it.
it was incredibly, it was incredibly positive and so exciting. I hadn't done a whole lot of things. I was still a young performer at that point, and I think I had opened on in Jekyll and Hyde, so I was on Broadway at that moment anyway. So I got a phone call from my agent, and they said they're doing an animated version of The King and I. They need you to record these songs. Now, I want to remind you all, this is 1997. So we don't have YouTube with all of the karaoke tracks of every song you've ever written at your fingertips on your keyboard. It's not right on your computer. So my we went to a place that is now closed and defunct called Colony Records. My father took me to Colony Records, and we got the Music Minus One cassette of The King and I. And we went back to my father's office and went to the sound effects department of CBS News. And we went into a recording studio and we took and put my voice on with what sounded like a full orchestra. And I recorded the songs that they wanted, and I put it on a cassette, and which doesn't sound like a big deal. That wouldn't be difficult for anybody to do. You throw it into GarageBand or whatever, and you push record, you sing, and you do it, and it's done. This was like a big deal. We're running all over town. I run back and I hand it back to my agent like 3 hours later, because it's, again, I can't email it. I have to deliver it to them in person. Like, are you kidding? What the what the heck is that? And then they listen to it. They're like, what, did she hire an orchestra? What is going on? But they're like, yes, okay, she's got it. They gave it, and I was like, oh my God. And they flew me to I think, where were we, in Toronto? I think I was in Toronto, and I was there for a week or two, and we recorded all of it. And I got to meet some of the other voice actors. A lot of it was just there, and I was brought in. Miranda Richardson did the speaking voice, and then I did the singing voice. But I did Shall I Tell You What I Think of You, which is also spoken and sung. So I had to actually listen to the dialogue that Miranda Richardson had already recorded, and then try to match her tone and her how she was speaking when she did it, which I thought was really fun. Um, and then I sang it. So it wasn't just a matter of me singing. I had to sing like I was sounding like Miranda Richardson. So I was a little like Marnie Nixon and those old, the Sound of Music and West Side Story, the woman who did the singing voices for all those movies. It felt like that, but it was very exciting. And even down to the premiere, and I went out to see the premiere in LA. And when it came to New York, I did the press junket, and that was a hoot. And I haven't done a lot of movies or any movies except for that one. So that was my only experience in that regard. But it was a hoot. I had a ball.
What were some of your favorite songs, like that you remember that you actually did on that film? Because I know the
Well,
soundtrack is still out there.
Hello Young Lovers is beautiful, and I love doing Shall I Tell You What I Think of You. It's because that was a real acting piece. Hello Young Lovers is gorgeous. Whistle a Happy Tune. I sang that. I did a lot of it. I thought the music on that movie was tremendous, and the orchestrations were amazing. And the R&H Foundation, we did a really good job with the music. People can say what they want to say about the movie, but I thought the music in the soundtrack is really amazing.
Yeah, that's what I usually hear about is like, no matter how you feel about the movie, like the music and the songs are like really, really good. Those are like some of the more consistent praises that I've heard that I would hear about
Yeah.
this, like at least the 1999 animated version or 98. I
Yes.
don't,
Well,
yeah.
that I mean, awesome memory I have was a friend of mine had a very young son, and I was visiting them, and this was after it had been released, and they actually got the video, and the young son was desperately watching it again and again and again, wanting to watch it over and over again. So I got, next to the young son and sang to him as Mrs. Anna. And, he couldn't believe, because he would recognize my voice, but then like fell asleep. I sang him to sleep. And just knowing that you touch people like that, especially kids, that they have that connection. My manager has two a set of twins that lives in his building that I think they're 7, but when they were like 3, he showed them that movie, and then said, let's call Mrs. Anna. So every once in a while I would get a phone call from these little people, and I'd be talking to them as Mrs. Anna, which was, it's just a cool thing. You don't get that opportunity. I only had one other cool thing that's even more cool than that, and it is a voice thing, which I want to share, because as a voice, it's the only other voice acting I've done. I am one of the voices of the boarding announcements on Star Tours at Disney World and Disneyland. And that was so cool when I went to the park and they went in, and I listened in the lobby, and all of a sudden you hear ding dong, Star Tours flight 47 to Naboo will be boarding on, and that was, me. And then anytime the ride would break down, it was, please listen to your thing, go out the doors, blah blah blah. And that was me. So it was the voice of all of that. But yeah, that was a hoot too. That was fun.
It's so awesome. So how did you get like what was the story of how you got the gig for the Disney thing?
I think I was auditioning for I had a voiceover agent for a bit, and I was sending in tapes for something. I don't remember what it was, but I did this slate. It was that, hi, this is Christiane Noll, and I just sort of I said that, and the guy who received the tape at Disney Imagineering was a theater thing. He's like, Christiane Noll, the one who just was nominated for a Tony, because this was during ragtime time. Oh my God, yeah, let's just give her this. And like they just sort of threw it my way. I was like, you're kidding, really? Oh my God. Like I was so excited. I couldn't believe it, because I'm a big, Disney nerd. So that was being reduced back to my 5-year-old self going, I have a voiceover, right? I was very excited.
Oh man, I gotta ask this because I'm also a Disney type of geek nerd. So I want to ask, what's your favorite Disney related like media, just period? Movies, the shows, just anything in general. Like favorite
I
Disney things, period.
I remember, I mean, I have so
Oh yeah,
many.
how did you, yeah,
I mean,
what got you introduced to Disney, really? And
all
then
my well,
fixed.
my father would bring me every soundtrack recording of every Disney movie that had been released. So I had, Snow White and Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and the uh Country Bear Jamboree and the Tiki Room. I mean, I had all these different Disney recordings that were from the park and from the movies. And I'm an only child, so I would disappear into my room and just play all this stuff and sing along and relive them and create my own little worlds. And I remember when all the, I will call it the new Disney. The new Disney is uh the Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, from my perspective, because that's the new Disney. I remember sitting and looking at Beauty and the Beast for the first time and being like, "Oh my God, this is what theaters, this is what Broadway should be." Next thing you know, they actually do all of those shows, which I was very excited for. But it's just magical. I think that, Disney sells nostalgia. You have all of these memories as a kid, and then when you go to all the parks, you want to relive all of those memories and have all those feelings. And I remember going as I have faint memories when I was like 2, and then I went again when I was 7 or 10, and then I have a bunch as a young adult, going back as a young adult, and then I've taken my family and gone, as now as a parent, and that's a whole different experience. And there's something wonderful, whether it's I haven't gone to the new Star Wars world. We went to Avatar Land. That was amazing. So recently I have to go back, and we haven't been there in a few years. So I'm excited to go back and see what new stuff is there. When do you go to Disneyland all the time? Or because you're out in California, aren't you?
No, really. I'm I'll see if I could try to go. If not this month, then most likely next month. Because I've been wanting to go back I think the last time I actually went to Disneyland was like, I think it was back in 2018. And then prior to that, I haven't went in like over like at least about a decade since, before
Mm-hmm.
I went back in 2018. So it is expensive, but it's so much fun. Like, wow,
It's so much fun. And
really
I
is.
read something just recently when it was talking about why, that like Disney adults, and they were saying how the thing I was listening, this was, I think it was a podcast. They were saying that when you go to Disney, everyone that's going there is going there to have a good time. Like they're there. No one's going like, well, let's see what this is. Like, so there's already an enthusiasm walking through the gates, like this is going to be great. And it doesn't matter, like there, which I think that's just an incredible feeling to wander into and to be a part of.
So yeah, I guess this is the end of part one. So stay tuned for part two, which will be coming shortly. So
Whee!
yee, there'll be more questions in part two. So yeah, stick around, y'all. Audio.